Okay everybody, welcome to the channel. Today it's something a little different. It is a watercolor, but we are using a new style of brush. So join me now and let's see what happens. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. As I said right at the top, it is a watercolor, but it is one with a little bit of a difference. Today I'm trying out some new brushes that have been sent to me recently. Now these brushes are from Rosemary Co. Now I've got to say before we go any further that anything I say in this video regarding these brushes is purely my own observations and use. I'm not being sponsored to say anything. There's no payment involved. It's just something that Rosemary sent to me because we go back a long way, and it would be nice just to try these out and see how they fare. So what it is, look at this lovely box. I've got to say, everything you get from Rosemary is so top-notch, and it doesn't right the way down to the packaging. Lovely little box. It was big enough because it had the latest catalogue in for me, but inside it was a lovely handwritten note. There's also a nice piece signed by Rosemary too, and of course there were some lovely chocolates, which I've got to say I've eaten, and they're always really special to get. So with that said and done, I have the brushes here. Now these are brand new to the market as far as I'm aware, or very recent to the market, and Rosemary has been working on these for some years. Now the thing is that many watercolorists out there, especially as time goes on, moves on in the modern age, that we become less and less wanting to use or exploit animals to get good brushes. Now I know that many of them are sort of secondary parts of the fur trade, but even so, there's still got to be an absolute no need really these days for using animal hair. And although I have many brushes in my arsenal for watercolor that do use animal hair, I've had them for many years, and over a long period of time that there wasn't any options to have anything different to do the job with, so one naturally bought into them. And over the years there have been a lot of efforts, and Rosemary has been leading this too, to create man-made or nylon filaments that will actually take water so much better and start to mimic some of the animal hair brushes that have traditionally been used. So I have to say that although they were really good, they will never actually carry as much water as, say, a really good Sable, and that has been always a little bit of an issue, certainly in my book. So with that all said and done, I wanted to try these out, and as I say, they are stunning to see. They look very, very different to normal nylon filaments, and if you look at a normal nylon, it's quite a different color. This is not one of Rosemary's, but it's just one I picked out of the jar, and you can see there's a big difference certainly in color. And the thing is that she's been working on this new brush. It's called the Red Dot series, and you've only got to go on her website to see and buy them. And the thing is that they are as close a mimic as she can get to Sable brushes. Now, two things about that. If they are, and I've not tried them yet, if they are and they do as good a job or almost as good a job, then there really is no need to keep buying Sable brushes. So two things with that is, one, we sustain animals not being exploited, which is fantastic in this modern day, and secondly, the high cost of Sables brings a brush that mimics them sort of greatly into the reach of the beginner too. When a beginner starts and they use cheaper brushes, it doesn't always do well with the watercolor, but if they can get a decent working Sable mimic brush such as these ones, then it means to say that they can get a much better brush and have much greater chance of enjoying their early watercolor experiences without suffering from cheap brushes. So it's got to be said that it's a win-win all the way around as long as they work, and I'm sure they do. I'm sitting here holding these and saying if they work. I have really no doubt in my head that knowing that the quality of Rosemary's brushes in the past, all these years that I've been using them, that to say that sort of statement is pretty silly really, because she wouldn't have brought them to market had they not worked. So I'm pretty confident that I'm going to do and have fun with these. So without further ado, and I've taught you to death, what I've got here is one of Rosemary's Kolinsky Sable brushes, and it's a number 10. Now for kickoff, let's just take the plastic off of this. They are very, very similar. They're slightly longer, as you can see. If I pull that against the white paper, you can see that the brush is ever so slightly in it, but it seems a little thinner. Now that's probably just the type of hair, but let's going to see how these work. And I'm just going to do a few strokes on this spare piece of paper. It's not taped down, so we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to use some water, and I am literally going to be mixing up some colors that are on my palette. Let's just wet this one up in the same way. They do feel very, very similar. Maybe a little more stiffness in one brush. There's the synthetic, the new red dot, and that's the Sable. So if I just do a line through here, and this is taking my Sable, okay, and I'm going to mix some of the same color into the other one. Now it does break up a little sooner, so it is carrying just slightly less water, but it's got to be said, it really is a lovely feel brush. I'm going to come in and do the same thing again. Now you can't actually turn around and say this is a scientific experiment, because it could well be that I've got different value and lows in the brushes. Now that is the synthetic. So the thing is that the Sable here was just as good on that. So probably on this one I didn't load enough paint in as I did with the Sable to begin with. And so let's just use the same color again. I've got to look now to see which one I'm actually using, to be quite honest with you. Now this is the Sable. No, it's not. This is the synthetic, and it's got a nice feel to it. This one is the Sable. I've got to say, if anything, there is a slight stiffness in the bristle to this one, but it is ever so slight. It's got to be said. There's not a lot in it. So I'm going to come in, and this is the one stroke. Put some water in it would be good. That's hardly fair. Right, let's just come across one stroke, and it is nice. Alright, I did 2 strokes, I'll admit, 3 strokes even, but you get the idea. Let's just go, that brush, the bristle on this is really nice. Now I am using quite a rough paper, so it will dance across the surface as well. But it is a lovely feel to the brush. And there is a much smaller brush now. This is just a small round, and it's a number 6 round. So let's just come in with that. Some more water, and let's just play around with that. Now to be quite honest with these two colors, with this brush here, I wouldn't know if I was using a Sable or a synthetic. They are that good. Now this brush is a Sable synthetic, so it has Sable, a few Sable hairs, but a lot of synthetic hairs in. And I gotta say that, you know, out of the two, these really do work. Now this is the Sable one, and this one is the synthetic, but when you, if I was to splay that out a little bit, the point stays and the point stays. They really do stay very, very well. You can flick them and it points up beautifully, and I know that the Sable brush will do that automatically as well. They both hold a lovely point. In fact, this one, if anything, the new one has a bit of a sharper point when it's wetted out and tapped into shape. Has a really nice point structure to it. So I'm going to carry on now and do a little painting and see where we go with these. But I'm not going to use the Sable. I am just going to use the 3 brushes that Rosemary very kindly sent me, and let's just see how we get on. Okay, for this I'm going to do a very, very quick drawing, and for that it's just a little seascape local to my home. This is the Warren in Folkestone, and I don't want to make too much of it. I'm just going to put in a little bit of headland through there. Come along, there is the Martello Tower, very famous Martello Towers, which were put up all the way along this part of the coastline. to fend off any potential attack from Napoleon, and the Duke of Wellington had this and many other structures built along our coastline through to Rye to stop any potential invasion. So there's the bit of cliff work, and there are lots of man-made iron sort of wall defences through here which still exist. I'm not quite sure that, I guess they were anti-tank or whatever. These are 1942 type structures, I believe, and as are many of these metal structures going out into the sea, they will put there as war defences. Now if I'm wrong on that, feel free to comment on the comment section underneath this video and let me know that I got that a little wrong, but I think that's what they are. There's a lot of rocks and stuff in the foreground, and we're going to put those in. Lovely sort of water coming through here onto the seashore. But as I said, there are these long great groin type things that are metal, big chunks of metal going through there, and I'm going to put a few in, but the rest I'll put in later on just to give you an idea. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for this very quick demonstration, but it's all about the clouds. So I'm going to use some of this color that's sort of sitting on my palette, and I am using the round, and I'm going to use the lovely wash brush too. I'm going to put a bit of blue into there. Has to be said also that this palette that I'm using is not my normal one, and those of you who regularly watch my videos will know that this is not my regular palette. It's one I prefer to use in here because it's got more working space and I can get it on the camera very nicely, but it has a lot of older color in it, and that's not necessarily the color that I would ordinarily have in my palette. So I'm using this up a little bit to begin with, got to be said, and we'll just go from there. Right, now this brush is really looking quite nice. Lovely feel to it. Lots of sudden marks that you can skip across this paper with, and sort of dry brush effects. Lovely. I like the way it's moving, and I love the spring in the painting, in the brush itself. A bit more paint, a little bit more color. Just take this down through to the horizon line to where the sea is. Lovely ability to this brush to not put too much water in, but give you some really beautiful broken edges. And I'm going to wash out some of that now, take some of that away out to where the light source is, let that come in and blend down through these cloud breaks, and leave some of that white paper in one or two places. This is not my normal paper, this is a standard 200 pound, I think it's 200 pound, from one of the more regular companies, De La Rowney, somebody like that, but I can't quite remember exactly who it is. Take this all the way through here, might as well take it all the way through there. Okay, a bit more blue, a little bit more violet, just to finish this sky out through here. Okay, I hope this looks okay. A really rapid painting, but you get the idea, and that worked very, very nicely. I'm going to come to the round brush now, and I'm going to put in some of the foreshore marks, some reddish marks, some sandy marks in through here, and there's got a lovely feel to this brush. I've got to say it right from the outset, it's a lovely feeling to the brush. Now I'm going to put in some washes. I'm going to come in with some blues, some cerulean blue and a bit of yellow, just come all the way down through here. I know that my sea is a little green, but hopefully that won't matter too much. Take some out, and it may be that sky runs into that too. Again, I'm not overly worried. I just wanted to see how these brushes really work, and I think they are stunning. Okay, use that, and let's come in with some of this blue and some of the violet colours into there, a little bit of magenta into that too, some lovely colours into the sands up through there, a little bit of red, not too much, that's it, all the way down through here. Got a big hard mark there, hopefully that brush will get rid of most of that. There we go. Now I'm rushing with this, gotta say, so some of the more careful observations between lights and darks may well be omitted, but it's just to give you some idea of how these brushes work without making the video so darn long. So okay, I'm going to dry this out and then we'll come back when that's done and we'll just finish this off, and yeah, then we'll sum up. Right, let's carry on, and we're going to drop the wide one for the moment. And we're just going to concentrate on these two lovely rounds. I've got to say, so far so good. They are working beautifully. Now I haven't left any white space to suggest the seawater and the ripples. I didn't bother with that. I would have done, I may have masked it out in another occasion, but I just wanted to see how these brushes work. So I didn't have the luxury of sort of spending too much time on such. Now I'm going to come in with a mid-green colour, and I'm going to use the larger of the two brushes to do that. And let's just come in with a hill colour that will work. Maybe a little bit fresher colour through some of these greens up the top, like so, and up there. Okay, and darken it down. Let's come in with some cobalt blue into there, just to suggest we've got a bit more darker on this headland. Up through to where that Martello Tower sits, bring that down through to the top there, and then what will be, if you went round the corner at this point, you would actually come to Folkestone Harbour, but of course we are on the Dover side of that, so we lose sight of anything. If you stand here, you will often see the ferries going out through from here, and I've actually lost a little bit of cliff there, but not too worried. Okay, there's a little bit of cliff, and for that let's just come in very quickly and tap in a little bit of colour just in through there. Let that settle down, soften the edges of the green. That works quite nicely. And I'm going to come in with a fairly darkness. I've got to admit, some of these colours I am at a loss as to what they all are. It's been several years since I've actually used this palette, so I'm just going to come in with the dark fortifications along there and a dark edge all the way through the bottom of this shoreline, coming all the way around and into that situation there. And there's a little bit of dark comes along there. Let's bring that down. There we go. Very quickly, I will admit that this painting is not going to win any awards for best painting around. It is merely just a quick demonstration in a very short space of time, just to see how the brushes really work. And I've got to say, I am so happy with them. They really are fantastic. Alright, I'm going to drop in one or two darker marks of green. I will use some ultramarine blue and a little bit of that yellow that's sitting on the side there, maybe a bit of cobalt just to bring that back. Just dropping in some darker values that are on top, some of the bushes and the shrubs on top of the hills here, coming down. Don't want to replace all the lighter greens, I just want to suggest some of them. So one or two around there, coming down through to the base. Quite a lump up through there, bring that down, and all of a sudden we start to see a little bit of variation into our hillside. And up on the top here there's quite a bit of information coming down. Now it is going to blend away because I am not really waiting for the paint to dry out more before I applied them. If I waited a little while, then of course the spread of the paint would not be as much as it is now. So I'm going to leave that to go there, and hopefully it won't cause me too many problems. There, I've got to come along here and adjust that little line shortly. But yeah, it's not too much of a problem. Let's try and lift out with this brush. Just take a little bit of a line through there. take out some of the moisture, sharpen up the point, make a chisel, and it does lift out quite nicely. Just that little line through there, just leaving a little bit of lifting, and when that's dry you can come back and reinforce any other lights that you wanted to. Now let's try and see if I can lift a few lines out on these defences. Hadn't planned on even trying, but if it does the job, and it's not bad, it will leave a slightly lighter mark that I can go back in and reinforce. Not so bad. It has to be said, I would have no different a result if I was using a Sable brush. So to that end, it works very, very well. Okay, alright, so all I'm really going to do now is to suggest some of these darker groins, and I've got a very dark blue which I'm guessing is indigo or Prussian, and I'm going to put in a sort of an orangey rusty type colour which makes me a warmish dark, and there's lots and lots of defences out through here. I'm just going to put in one or two that are suggested up through the back here. Just a few taps in there to suggest one or two, and they're going to become a lot thicker and a lot more dense through here, of course, as they're coming into these defences. And you can't quite see one bit and where another bit stops, so there's all sorts of information up in there. And I'm going to bring some down now through here. Some are straight, some are leaning. Try and keep your lines out as far as you can straight, or at least, you know, straight lines this way. And I'm going to bring a few more in deeper, wider apart, maybe a couple of pieces coming down this way. And it isn't, I've got to say, it is not happening in the same way as the photograph suggests them. It is merely trying to give you some idea of the Warren. And come in with a bit more colour. Take some of these down through, and they do stretch an awful long way out to sea, got to be said. And as they go deeper and deeper in the sea, you see much less of them, of course. So forgive me if I'm going uphill with one lot. I see that now. Never mind. There we are. And a much more of an angle on these ones, slightly closer. So let's give them a bit more, like so. They are leaning. Definitely leaning one way, like so, and my drawing is not corresponding, so I'm not worried too much really. Let's just give that a little bit depth there, so let's just suggest that is coming up through there. Bit of dark, just bring that one there, and they are taller, so you've got to bring them into scale with everything else, like so, like that. Now there are other things, there are bits of stuff hanging off, and there are little bits of metal that you can still see coming through there. That one then goes underneath. Completely missed that, look at that, never mind. That needs to come down a little bit. And then we've got some rocks, so let's just put some quick rocks in, and I actually don't need the small brush for that. Let's come in with this deeper brush, nice strong marks, just really let that dry and tap over, and you get the sense of water lapping around the bottoms of them, as it were. And it is just to give you some idea. Now this was a very stormy day, as you can tell by all the clouds, but yeah, it was a great day too. Did a lot of plein airs here with my friends on this occasion, and we had a lovely meal halfway through the day, which was great fun. Unfortunately, at the moment, with lockdown and our ability to get out and have such social situations, they're a little far and few between, a bit sparse, but hopefully it will not last too long. But there we are. I'm going to bring this to an end, because although it is not the best picture that I've ever painted, hopefully it does demonstrate the brushes a little bit to you. and you get some idea that, you know, this has got a beautiful point when needed, and it has the volume to deliver some beautiful color and water in big wash areas as you want that too. So I can only say a big thank you to Rosemary for creating a wonderful new brush that is not only good for professionals to use, but is also great for the beginner, for the person who's just wondering what to get in terms of brushes for their new hobby of watercolor painting. This is the beasties to buy. And I have one of my students who I'm buying for his wife for his Christmas presents, and the brushes that he's getting will be these ones, and they are stunning. Okay, but I better warn him that I've actually put that in the video, because it won't be a surprise, will it? I forgot about that. Never mind. It is what it is. He may not watch the video so quickly, but there you are. Anyway, it's just what it is, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed creating this little video, and it is my first real sort of hands-on sort of expressing what some product is like. I sort of, people keep saying about doing product reviews, and I've been using products for 30 odd years, and they keep changing. I keep getting better ones and changing what I'm doing, finding out a little bit more, and I ought to do more of those. But this one, I just felt, because I know Rosemary and she's always been very good to me, and she sent me these brushes through, I felt it would be just a nice opportunity to say thank you and do this little video and give some idea of how the brush really works out. And I gotta say, I am so not unhappy with that at all. It's a great brush, and it just does everything you would want it to do right out of the box, as it were, and you know, it's just great. So there we are. Anyway, if you are looking for a new brush, and if you are fed up with paying the extortionate amounts of money that some good Sables will cost you, then I suggest you go along to Rosemary's website. I'll put her details in the description underneath this video, and as I said, there's nothing in it for me. It's just the fact that these are a really nice brush, and I think that they are quite a game changer when it comes to the choice of natural hair and artificial hair, and I think that these win through and through. So there you go, enough said. I'll let you go and start placing your orders. Take care, everybody, and if you have enjoyed this and any other of my videos, then if you're not a subscriber, then please subscribe to the channel. You know it helps, and it is growing my audience over everywhere, and I thoroughly appreciate that. And if you do, then click the bell icon. It tells you every time I upload a new video, as well as the thumbs up, and that all helps YouTube understand that it's a channel that's worth promoting and worth helping. And if you want a lot more, then don't forget there is a weekly live stream on a Monday evening, London time, at 7 PM in the evening. And there's also my Patreon. Dive on over there. There is so much content there for you to get involved with, and it only costs you a cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee a month. It's not a lot of money, and every penny you put into that really does help support me create more content for everybody to enjoy. So with that said, I'd welcome you. Take a look, and I'll catch each and every one of you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.